The Green Bay Packers just make an absolutely brilliant move, and we got to talk about it. This is the NFC North Guys. I'm Ben. As you can tell, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan, but the NFC team that I've always repped, other than Super Bowl 32, is the Green Bay Packers. I've been surrounded by Lions fans and Bears fans, and they're the most obnoxious fan base in football, so I always say go Pack go. So let's talk about the great news of the day, and that is that the Green Bay Packers did not succumb to the hot takes and all the tweets that you saw saying, hey, get rid of Matt LaFleur, and instead they offer him an extension. This was a brilliant move. I have like a third-party objective view of this, and Matt LaFleur is one of the better head coaches in all of professional football, and I've got the receipts to prove it here in a second. Let's talk about the details of his deal. They're nowhere near paying him like what John Harbaugh is going to get now with the New York Giants, or he's even making less than Sean Payton made, and that's like a 3-year-old deal at this point. And so they're expecting to pay him about $15 million a year, which is going to be like right in that range of like a mid-tier coach. But I think if you actually take a look at it on paper, he's more than just a mid-tier coach, without a doubt. And all you got to know here is that the Packers are on the verge of something incredibly special, and you are the most snake-bitten team this year in football. We have to just break this down. And unfortunately, I'm probably about to figure out what happens if you have the wrong injury to the wrong person with my star quarterback just going down. But if the Green Bay Packers did not have Tucker Kraft end up going out of the season there right around week 10, or Micah Parsons, I promise you the Green Bay Packers would be playing right now. They would be playing tonight instead of the Chicago Bears. And even with those two devastating injuries, they outplayed the Chicago Bears for 7 of the 8 quarters that they played them this season. Like, do not give up on the season. Like, it is absolutely crazy. So looking here at what the Packers looked like before the Tucker Kraft injury and just how different this season could have gone. You take a team that is 5-1-1. They had that one very, very strange tie with the Cowboys. And you see that their total win percentage dropped off 34% just losing that tight end. They ended up scoring a touchdown less per game, average 50 yards less per game in offensive efficiency, 25 less yards per game in the passing game. And then actually because Tucker Kraft opens up so much and you can't drop, you always have to dedicate somebody to guarding him. The rushing game actually also struggled as well when he went down. And then he was a huge third down target, and this is the money down, right? So dropping from 53% conversion on third downs to 48%, that is definitely a noticeable difference. And then just seeing like Tucker Kraft had 6 touchdowns in the first 8 weeks in the red zone, and Jordan Love absolutely loved him. This year, Jordan Love's passer rating when he was targeting Tucker Kraft, I was thrilled to death that the Broncos didn't have to play him because I didn't know what we were going to do to guard him. He was one of the best tight ends in football. So you just lose that dude and you're like, okay, well, at least we have an elite defense. And yeah, y'all do have an elite defense. And again, you're looking at a team here. We got what happened before Micah Parsons went out and then what happened after. And we don't have to remind us what happened after. The Green Bay Packers didn't win another game. Obviously, a lot of that was due to benching players at the end of that season and all that kind of stuff. But you just look at a top 10 defense on every single metric, and you're creeping into the top 5 in some areas. And obviously, like you have the most, the edge rusher who is creating. Actually, he's not even an edge rusher. He's just a explosive defensive playmaker, created the most amount of pressures in football this season. Like, he's still making the All-Pro team, even though he missed all of those games after his injury. It just tells you what the rest of the NFL thinks. So you are in a Super Bowl window if either of those dudes do not get hurt. And that is absolutely bad luck. You do not make a reactionary move and fire a dude who is just lights out. And the proof for like how lights out he is just seeing like people who are never happy in their entire lives unless they're on an ayahuasca treat, like Aaron Rodgers is coming out and saying, hey, I've had 21 great years and I've had the privilege of playing in 2 fantastic cities and fantastic franchises. Makes a little dig there at the New York Jets, which we all love. But he puts Mike Tomlin and Matt LaFleur in the same conversation. So a guy who, and I love him or hate him, but like all he does is dog on people. He's out there putting Mike Tomlin and Matt LaFleur in the same conversation. So obviously Aaron Rodgers is all for this decision. Seeing Micah Parsons, like that's the one to me that means the absolute most, saying, I don't want to come out after or this time next season and say, dang, we let a great coach go. So when your star player, a guy who makes the All-Pro team, without even playing like the second stretch of that season. When he comes out and says that means something, seeing former All-Pro here, former like Hall of Fame tight end Tony Gonzalez saying, Matt LaFleur, hell of a coach. For anyone out there saying you should fire him, you guys don't know football. Seeing Kirk Benkirk, love watching his content on YouTube, and then obviously played for the Packers as well. Came out and gave a huge shout out to him as well. You see another former center for the NFL come out and say, and this was Shipley, came out and said, LaFleur has done an incredible job coaching this season. So like the facts are the Green Bay Packers are in a Super Bowl window. They would have been the NFC North champions without a doubt had you not had both Tucker Kraft and Micah Parsons get hurt. And so to blame that on a coach, like when you fire a coach, you have to rebuild the entire system, because everyone right now in all of Green Bay Packers like team room, like those are all LaFleur guys. They fit his system and what he wants. And so you bring in a new coach, and then you're bringing in all new coordinators, and then you're like, oh, this isn't really the player that matches that system. And so you are talking a 2 or 3 year rebuild there, and the Packers just could not afford to do that with the contract extension they just gave to Micah Parsons. And it would just be foolish when you know that if you have both a healthy Tucker Kraft and a healthy Micah Parsons next season, that the Green Bay Packers are going to win the NFC North, and there's absolutely zero doubt about that. And so I'm thrilled with this decision. I think that there are times in professional football where you see a coach get you all the way to the precipice, and you're just like, hey, that coach really doesn't have what it takes, because they gave it their best shot, and then they did not end up panning out. It's just a very, very different situation when you know that the only thing standing between you and the Super Bowl is just 2 of the flukiest injuries in the world. And so I think there's a massive difference between Green Bay contemplating a decision on moving past Matt LaFleur and someone like the Buffalo Bills who lost to the Broncos yesterday, and that you're looking at an AFC where Josh Allen now doesn't have to compete against Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and still they can't defeat the Broncos. And so like that's a different situation where you see one of the longest tenured coaches in football, McDermott, get all the way there and not be able to get over the hump. And that's just not what happened with LaFleur. And all you got to do is hear Sean McVay as he's talking about preparing for this Bears game. And one of the calls that he made was to LaFleur, and he talked about how much he respects LaFleur as a play caller. And he said he's just a genius guy. And so from Aaron Rodgers to McVay to Micah Parsons, everybody and their mom thinks this is a great decision. And so while this was a incredibly discouraging end to the season that nobody wanted to see, like nobody wanted that, this was the right decision. And I think the Packers also doubled down on it. Like not only did they not fire LaFleur, they gave him the extension, but then even in addition to that, this isn't going to be the type of situation where he's forced to make any changes to the coaching staff. And so you've seen Ed Policy coming out and saying that he doesn't even have to make any changes. And right there, that is the most glowing indictment of truly him understanding that this was not LaFleur's problem. This was not his creation. This not making the playoffs or making it past the Bears in the playoffs wasn't on LaFleur. It was on the situation, and I think it's a really, really good move to bring him back. So has me absolutely thrilled. Very different than what we see with Harbaugh. One of the reasons he left the Baltimore Ravens was that he was going to be asked to make changes to his coaching staff, and he didn't want to. But Harbaugh is another guy who's been there time and time again and just hasn't had what it takes to get over that hump. And I think it's just a very, very different situation that if you give me the Green Bay Packers and a healthy Micah Parsons and a healthy Tucker Kraft, you are watching the Green Bay Packers tonight play the Rams, and that would have been a lot more fun than watching a dude with painted nails. Go Pack, go.